All right, so green tea or black tea, which one's healthier? That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, good question.
And get this, we're going deep into a huge study, and it followed like 500,000 people in the UK.
Huge, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it looked at all sorts of stuff,
Like whether they took milk or sugar.
which, by the way, is super interesting. We'll get to that.
Oh, for sure.
But first, why the UK? Did all that tea drinking actually make a difference?
Well, it seems like those Brits might be onto something.
Okay, spill the tea. What'd they find?
Those who drank 2 or more cups of black tea each day, they had a lower risk of dying from any cause compared to those who didn't drink tea.
So not a fountain of youth, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty interesting link.
Yeah, for sure.
And when they looked closer at specific causes of death, they saw that higher black tea intake was linked to a lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease.
Like heart attacks and strokes.
Exactly.
But not so much for cancer or respiratory diseases.
Yeah, those links weren't as clear.
Okay, so maybe some heart-healthy perks, but not a cure-all.
It seems that way, yeah.
Makes you wonder, though, right? Like, what about all that milk and sugar people add?
Oh, that's a good point. They actually looked into that. Get this, adding milk actually seemed to make the link between tea and lower mortality even stronger.
Really?
They adjusted for all sorts of things, smoking, diet, overall health.
So it wasn't just that healthier people were drinking tea with milk.
It seems that way. But of course, correlation doesn't equal causation, right?
Right.
Still, it's pretty fascinating.
Totally. What about sugar? Did that mess things up?
Actually, no.
Really?
It didn't seem to negate the positive association between tea and lower mortality.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, right. But again, moderation is key.
Always. But speaking of things that can be a bit much, what about caffeine? Some people are pretty sensitive to it.
Yeah, and tea can have a decent amount.
Did they factor that into the study at all?
They did. They even looked at people's genes.
No way.
Yeah. They focused on genes related to caffeine metabolism.
So whether you process caffeine quickly or slowly.
Exactly. And guess what?
Okay.
It didn't seem to matter. Even those who metabolized caffeine slowly still seemed to get those benefits from drinking tea.
That's great news for the slow metabolizers out there. So, bottom line.
It looks like regular black tea consumption, even at higher amounts, seems to be okay, even good for your health.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Right. But now I gotta ask.
What is it?
What about green tea?
Oh, yeah. We've been all black tea all the time.
Right. This study didn't look at it directly, but it does make you think, doesn't it?
Definitely. Like, does green tea have the same benefits, or maybe even better ones?
Good question.
So black tea seems promising, but now we got to put green tea under the microscope.
Agreed.
Let's see what the research says about its potential.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so you know how black tea goes through that whole oxidation thing?
Yeah.
Well, green tea, it doesn't.
Right, it skips that step.
Which means it keeps more of its natural compounds.
It's EGCG.
EGCG, what's that?
It's this powerful antioxidant.
Ah,
and it's been linked to, well, a lot of potential benefits.
Like what?
Let's see. Reducing the risk of certain cancers, improving heart health.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oh, and maybe even protecting brain function.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Okay, so green tea's got this EGCG superstar in its corner.
Right?
Does that automatically make it the healthier choice?
Well, hold on. Not so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite that simple,
Okay, so it's not a clear knockout for green tea.
Not exactly.
Right, so black tea's still in the running.
Yeah, it's still a contender.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What makes black tea hold its own against this EGCG powerhouse?
Well, remember that oxidation process we talked about?
Yeah, the one green tea skips.
Right. That process actually creates something special in black tea.
What is it?
Deflavins.
Deflavins. Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah, they're another group of antioxidants.
So black tea has its own set of antioxidant warriors.
Exactly. And they come with their own potential health benefits, too.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Well, some research suggests that the high flavins might help protect against heart disease and certain types of cancer.
Wow, so it's like a battle of the antioxidants.
Yeah.
EGCG versus the flavins. Who will win?
It's not really about winning,
Maybe, of course.
Both black and green tea have their own strengths.
So it sounds like there's no clear champion here. It's more about understanding the unique qualities of each type of tea, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole comparison so fascinating. It's not about black tea versus green tea. It's about appreciating the nuances of both.
That's a great point. So if someone's listening to this right now, trying to decide between a green tea latte and a black tea with milk, what should they consider?
Tough choice. Ultimately, it comes down to personal preference.
So no right or wrong answer.
Nope, both black tea and green tea can be part of a healthy diet.
Okay, so it's all about enjoying what you like.
Absolutely. Listen to your body and choose the tea that makes you feel good.
I love that. The enjoyment factor is key. But let's say someone is specifically aiming for those EGCG benefits we talked about earlier. Would you recommend sticking to green tea in that case?
If EGCG is the main goal, then yeah, green tea would likely be the better choice.
Makes sense. But even within the world of green tea, there's so much variety, right?
Exactly. The EGCG content can vary depending on the type of green tea, how it's brewed, even how long it's steeped.
So there's a whole other layer of complexity to consider.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's what makes exploring this topic so fascinating. There's always more to learn and discover.
I'm totally with you on that. This whole conversation has me craving a cup of tea, but now I'm torn between black and green.
Ah, I know the feeling. But this deep dive into black and green tea got me thinking.
Uh-oh, I know that look. You're about to blow my mind with some next-level tea knowledge. What is it?
We've been so focused on black tea versus green tea.
Right, it's been an epic showdown.
But what about the bigger picture? What about all the other potential health benefits of tea that go beyond just living longer?
Wait, there's more. I thought we covered it all.
This study we discussed was mainly about how tea drinking affects mortality, but there's a whole universe of research out there exploring the effects of tea on things like how our brains work, inflammation in our bodies, and even how our metabolism functions.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. Tell me more. What
Yeah.
kind of fascinating findings are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, there's growing evidence that tea, especially green tea, might actually help protect our brains as we age.
Well, seriously.
Yeah. It could potentially lower the risk of cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So that afternoon cup of green tea could be doing more than just giving me a boost. It could be helping to keep my brain sharp.
It's a possibility. And it's not just green tea either. Black tea has also been linked to improvements in cognitive function, especially in areas like attention and mental agility.
So both teas have brain-boosting potential. That's amazing.
Huh.
What about inflammation? I hear that's a big deal when it comes to our health.
You're right, chronic inflammation is a major concern. And both black and green tea might be able to help with that too. They're packed with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that could combat inflammation throughout the body.
So it's like each sip of tea is sending in a tiny army of antioxidants to fight those inflammatory fires.
Huh. I love that analogy. And there's even some evidence suggesting that tea might play a role in metabolic health, potentially helping with things like insulin sensitivity, blood sugar regulation, and even weight management.
Hold on. So we've got potential benefits for the brain, for inflammation, and even for metabolism. It seems like tea is a true health superhero.
It certainly seems that way. And remember, we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more research being done on tea and its impact on various aspects of our health.
It's incredible to think that something as simple and enjoyable as a cup of tea could have such profound effects on our well-being.
It truly is remarkable, and I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so compelling. It reminds us that sometimes the simplest things in life can be the most beneficial.
Absolutely. So the next time you find yourself reaching for a cup of tea, take a moment to appreciate not just its flavor, but also its potential to nourish your body and mind.
Well said. And remember, whether you prefer black tea, green tea, or any other variety, the most important thing is to choose the one that brings you joy and fits into your healthy lifestyle.
Couldn't agree more. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wonderful world of tea.
Cheers! It's been a pleasure exploring with you.